Controversial episode alert.
Abort! 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 Shin. Kia ora koutou, no mai, haere Mikey on the rag. Welcome to this month's episode of On the Rag, where we're going to talk about abortion.
Michèle.
I know, I said it.
Very dare you say that aloud, Michèle.
Very brave.
So abortion's looking like it's going to be removed from the Crimes Act this year, which is the first major change we'll see to the law since 1977. Now, for context, Chris Martin from Coldplay was born in 1977, and that was also the year that Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope came out. Fucking ages ago.
It's a shit movie. Number 4,
Debatable.
don't you think?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
You've upset some people now. You thought abortion was upsetting.
Hey, controversial. Abort, abort, abort.
And a lot has happened at that time, but we wanted to know what that sort of looks like today in the current climate. So I went out and I got an abortion. Let's say this just happened, and I think I want to get an abortion. In New Zealand, abortion is still listed under the Crimes Act. Abortions can be performed, but only if 2 certifying doctors agree that the pregnancy is a serious danger to your mental or physical health. So now I'm at family planning to figure out what I should do next.
Hi, how can I help you today?
I think I might be pregnant.
All right. When was your last period?
It's about a week overdue.
And are you on any contraception at the moment?
I just use condoms.
Okay. Have you had any condom breakages or
Not that I'm aware
not
of.
forgotten to put one on?
No, never.
Okay.
Too responsible.
All right. And your last period was a normal
Yep.
period for you? Are you in a relationship or are you having casual partners?
Lots of casual partners.
Okay. So we probably need to do some swabs today as well.
Okay.
So how do you feel about this? Have you had a bit of a think about what you want to do?
I have, and I would like to have an abortion.
Okay, so you've got a few options. So there's medical and surgical. So for the medical one, I've got a book here, and you can have that up until 9 weeks. For the surgical one, it's up to 12 weeks and 6 days. It's not going to happen before you're 6 weeks. So you've got a bit of time to think about it. You don't have to make a decision right now.
The medical abortion, is that taking a pill?
Yes, so you will need to go in for an appointment. They will give you some medication, and the next day or so you'll have to go back and take some medication again.
And then you sort of pass?
And then you'll pass it at home within a few hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the surgical procedure involves suction?
Yes.
Yep. Is it going to hurt a lot?
Depending on which type you go for, medical one can be a bit painful. Basically like having a heavy, more painful period than you normally would.
Right.
But you can do that at home. For the surgical one, they usually give you some medication to relax you, and they do numb your cervix, so it shouldn't be painful.
How much does all of this cost?
As long as you're entitled to funded healthcare, it's free. Some ultrasound clinics do charge a fee though. After this appointment, you will need to go and get an ultrasound, which I can book for you. I'm going to print off a lab form, and you need to go and get the bloods done today. After your ultrasound results are back, then I will give you a call and we can discuss what form of contraception you want to go on afterwards, if you still want to continue, and which method you'd prefer.
So then after you've organised all of that for me, are there other steps after that?
There are a few other steps. EDU will give you a call about 3 days after I've made the referral, and they will book you in for an appointment with the certifying doctors.
Right.
And then you'll need to go back for the actual procedure.
Doctors, plural?
Yes, so you do have to be certified by 2 separate doctors.
How annoying.
I know.
Now I have to see the 2 doctors who will need to agree with my decision to have an abortion before I can actually access one. I, a grown woman who can make responsible decisions for herself, must cross my fingers and hope the doctors let me do what's best for me.
Yes! Yes.
I'm about to have my procedure. Because I'm between 6 and 14 weeks pregnant, they're going to give me a local anaesthetic in my cervix and perform a vacuum aspiration. So they're going to dilate my cervix, and it's going to feel a little bit like period cramps. Then they're going to insert a small plastic tube and very carefully suction out the contents of my uterus. All of that's only going to take a few minutes. And then afterwards, I'm going to recover in the clinic for about an hour, and then I'm going to head home. abortion, there might be a little bit of bleeding and some cramps. I'm going to be susceptible to infection for a little while, so I'm not going to have a bath for 48 hours, do any exercise for 2 weeks, use tampons for 4 weeks, or have sex for a while. Post-procedural complications, they're super rare, but if I'm concerned about anything, I'm going to go straight to my GP. For now, I may be feeling lightheaded and a bit nauseous, so I'm going to get someone to hang out with me for the rest of the day, just in case. But you know what? I'm going to be just fine. That's what I did in the weekend.
That's a lot of admin.
Yeah, I know there were a lot of steps, and I mean, you'll notice that the one thing that we didn't address in that was the why people have this procedure done, because there are so many whys. And they're so personal to each person that needs this procedure that it's not our fucking business why.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people that need this are responsible enough to know their why.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so galling, that you need someone else to sign off on it and make a decision on it.
Two people.
It always blows my mind that you have to convince two strangers that you shouldn't be a parent, but you never have to convince two strangers that you should be a parent, which seems like a bigger job.
That's true. Much more expensive.
People don't tell you very often about their abortion. They're still very
absolutely
ashamed of it or something.
Even people that I've talked to that have no regrets, it wasn't this huge emotionally like scarring experience. They did what they needed to do for their well-being.
Yeah.
And yet they're still made to feel like, oh, I should probably just not just discuss this willy-nilly just in case there's someone who might, you know, be really offended or really upset by this. And
which is
it's a real shame.
It is a shame, because there are some great happy abortion stories. If they hadn't had that abortion, they wouldn't have the relationship and the children that they have now, or they wouldn't have the career that they have now. So there are these really positive stories about, I made a decision that was very grown up and mature of me, and it worked out really well. Yeah. We don't hear those stories enough.
No. All of that is good to share, not only to remove the stigma, but to counteract those fucking billboards that you see.
Yeah.
When you're going for a lovely drive up north.
All the way to Thames.
The summer of our lives. Can't wait to start. Dead baby. Abortion is murder. All that stuff.
But there's, a lot of them on certain stretches of road when you're trying to get out of the city.
Totally. And they come out of nowhere, and it's the exact same way that on social media, on Facebook, these comments sort of littered with lies and fibs and misinformation will just hit you in the face, and you realise there's a lot of things that people believe about abortions that aren't necessarily true. So I decided to get all those myths together, and I took them to an expert to see what she thought about them.
Who are the abortion mythbusters? Alex Casey, a human adult woman with a lot of questions. Terry Ballamat, president of All-Rounds with decades of experience in reproductive rights. Together, they won't just tell abortion myths, they'll put them to the test.
Welcome to the Mythbusters Lab.
Hi.
I brought you here today because I have found all of the common myths that people hold very true, very dear to their heart, and love to shout about. I might as well group these all together and put them to you so we can bust these myths. Is that all right
Let's
with
bust
you?
them.
Okay. So the first one that comes up constantly, abortion in New Zealand is really easy to get.
I wish that was true. It's not easy to get an abortion here. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. Abortion is still in the Crimes Act.
That's crazy.
I know.
Is there any other kind of medical procedure where you can go up to a doctor and say, I have this problem that I need sorting from a medical professional, and they can say, no?
Yes. Contraception.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that kind of relates to one of the next myths, which is that people freely use abortion as a form of contraceptive. I don't know why you're laughing. Hundreds of people believe this to be true on Facebook.
Yeah. Anyone who believes that has clearly never accessed abortion care. One of the commonest reasons for seeking abortion care is that your contraception failed.
One of the other myths, abortion is often sought out by young, irresponsible high school girls who don't know what they're doing, don't know what's going on. Is that true?
Nope.
Interesting.
Surprise, yeah.
It's almost like people don't know what they're talking about.
Actually, the majority of people who get abortions in New Zealand are already parents. So, it's also not true that they don't know what they're missing. They know what they're missing.
Right.
In a lot of cases, it's, people who feel that they just don't have the resources, whether financial or just personal, to deal with another child.
Another myth, the fetus feels pain.
Medical authorities have said that a fetus has the nervous system connections that are necessary in order to feel pain right around the 28th to 30th week. Until then, there's nothing with which to feel.
So another myth is that nobody wants to talk about abortion. It's sort of the final taboo that's only going to end in, terrible, tense discussions.
I think it's not that people don't want to talk about abortion. I think people don't feel safe talking about abortion. I mean, think about it. 1 in 4 people with uteruses in New Zealand will get an abortion between the ages of 50 and 45. Everybody knows someone who's having an abortion. Mm-hmm. And if you think you don't know someone who's received abortion care, you might want to think about why that is.
There's a myth, perhaps held even by me, that sometimes I feel a little powerless to affect change in New Zealand. What can people do?
Not so. This is New Zealand's moment to step up and let the Select Committee know what you want them to do.
Abortion?
We're not making the offer.
Abortion?
You're a fabulous
you
activist.
go.
I'm an activist now.
I like
I'm
it.
out there
On
with
the
a
streets.
beard.
The beautiful red beard.
There was something really interesting she said as well. If you encounter these in real life, I don't know if you have a charming chat around the dinner table when it comes up. Something that Terry said, which made me go, was just say to them, what makes you think that I haven't had an abortion?
Yeah.
Because it is that common and it is that
Yeah.
real for so many people that it's everywhere. It's everywhere and we're just not talking about it.
There's a really good chance that one of us has had an abortion.
Pretty high statistically.
It's me. It was me.
It's Michèle.
I think we all knew that.
We all knew that. We've talked about it on our podcast before.
Yeah.
One of the best decisions I've ever made.
I also find it shocking that some of these professionals that you come to will be conscientious objectors to abortion but won't tell you beforehand.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You can
there should
turn
be a
up.
sign on the door.
And sometimes they do declare it is something that will be listed on the doctor's site. Other times you could go through all this admin. Just doing anything is so hard.
Yeah.
Getting a normal doctor's appointment is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Turning up and you could go into the console and they could say, oh, this isn't my bag.
I won't do this for anybody.
Yeah.
Not
And
just
then
you.
There's currently no kind of onus on them to refer you on if they don't want to. It's wild.
Wow. This month's studio guest was the possibly first person in the world to see inside my vagina, because she was a doctor at the student health clinic at university when I was there. That's not at the top of her CV, but she has been a tireless advocate for reproductive rights since the 1950s, and she's not stopping now. Please welcome Dame Margaret Sparrow.
Woohoo!
So I want you to paint us a picture of what the reproductive world was like in the 1950s.
Well, we didn't have much in the way of contraception. We used to use a diaphragm. That was the most popular method. When I was fitted for a diaphragm, I had to prove that I was getting married. We were too poor. We were students, so I didn't have an engagement ring. It was published in the church.
The bands.
The bands. So I took that along instead of my ring. Yes.
I'll swap you a church newsletter for a diaphragm.
Yes.
And that worked?
No.
No.
No, which is why I ended up having an unplanned pregnancy. My husband knew of a chemist in Christchurch who sold remedies. It was all underground.
Yeah.
And it came in a brown paper packet.
Right.
A bottle about that size, 1 tablespoonful 3 times a day. and I had an early miscarriage.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky because in that year there were 3 deaths in New Zealand from women who died from a septic abortion.
Right.
Because if the mixture hadn't worked, then the next alternative would have been a backstreet abortion.
Yeah. Having that experience of doing a self-abortion, that gave you some courage to help other women who were in the same position or stop them from getting into it.
Yes, but it took me a while because my initial reaction was, oh, you don't come to a doctor. You have to find out, you know, because nice doctors did not get involved in abortion, and I was a nice doctor. You could be prosecuted. Even for a woman doing her own abortion, it was a crime and the punishment was 7 years in jail.
Yeah.
And for somebody doing it was either 14 years in jail but up to life imprisonment.
Crazy. Because I know that in the 1960s, once the oral contraceptive became available, they wouldn't prescribe it to unmarried women.
Yeah.
But you gave it to them. So you were rebelling.
Vigilante.
Yeah.
Yes. I knew that the pill had changed my life because I was one of the very first women in New Zealand to take the pill. I was very lucky. Lots of women got side effects from those early pills. The only side effect I had was that I didn't get pregnant.
So you were really happy about going against the rules and making the oral contraceptive available to unmarried women.
Yes.
But not so keen on being involved in the abortion process at first.
No, if you had money, you could go elsewhere in the world to have one. But then I got to thinking, well, this is ridiculous. Here I am, I'm well paid, I have this clientele, I'm not meeting their needs. I visited some of those clinics in Sydney so that I knew the doctors involved. You didn't send people away with addresses on scruffy backs of envelopes. You sent them with a proper letter of referral.
And then the law changed in 1977.
Yes.
That did make it possible for abortions to be performed in New Zealand.
Yes. The whole mood of the country had changed. The Prime Minister at the time said, we appoint a Royal Commission. And the report came and it was a disappointment. It was flawed, it was not helpful. Their idea was that we should set up panels and women would have to present to these panels.
Like a job interview.
Not a panel.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yes. But Parliament, in its wisdom, said that it would use the Royal Commission as the basis for this legislation.
Did you think back then, in 1977, you'd still be talking about this in 2019? You'd still be fighting this fight?
I did not. No, I thought this law is so terrible, we're going to have to change it. We've got an awful law, but we've had doctors who have interpreted it liberally and made sure that women get a service, and people forget how awful the law is and we don't change it.
Yeah. And are you hopeful that we're going to get abortion out of the Crimes Act this year?
I'm more hopeful this year than I have been for the last 41 years.
Oh, yay.
Yes.
Wow. I'm just in awe of you, eh?
It's pretty amazing, hey?
Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done for us.
Well, I'm hopeful, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Public submissions are now being called for the abortion legislation bill. The closing date for submissions is Thursday, 19th of September. You can visit parliament.nz for more information.
And that's the end of our abortion episode. I think we're all probably going to hell after this, but it was worth it. Thanks for sticking with us.
Hey, Tērā marama. We'll see you next month for another episode of On the Rag.
Bye. It's getting hot. It's quite hot. It is warming up. Fires of hell.